Hey everyone, and welcome back to Nugget Health Channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's rarely talked about but affects every single woman. What happens to your vagina when you take a break from sex? You might be surprised to learn that your body goes through some pretty interesting changes when you're not sexually active. From dryness to even changes in your menstrual cycle, understanding these shifts can help you feel more confident and empowered about your body. So if you've ever wondered what really goes on down there during a dry spell, you're in the right place. Make sure you stick around until the end of the video, because I'm sharing some important tips on how to navigate these changes and keep things feeling good, no matter what your relationship status is. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the myth in the bedroom. One of the biggest misconceptions out there is that abstaining from sex will somehow make your vagina tighter. Let me set the record straight. That's simply not true. Your vagina is incredibly elastic, kind of like a rubber band. It's designed to expand and contract to accommodate things like sex and childbirth. So no matter how long it's been, your vagina won't magically shrink in size or revert back to how it was before you were sexually active. Now you might be thinking, but Dr. Jen, why does it sometimes tighter after a break? Well, that sensation usually comes down to two things: tension and nerves. When we haven't been intimate in a while, it's natural to feel a bit anxious or self-conscious, which can lead to muscle tension in the pelvic floor. And just like any other muscle in your body, when your pelvic floor muscles tense up, they can make penetration feel, well, tighter than usual. But trust me, it's not because your vagina has physically changed shape. The key here is to relax. Take your time, communicate with your partner, and focus on creating a sensual and enjoyable experience. If you need a little help getting things going, lube is your best friend. A good quality lubricant can make a world of difference in reducing friction and easing any discomfort. Remember, your vagina is amazing just the way it is. Don't buy into the myths. Let's talk about orgasms, shall we? We all know how amazing they feel, but did you know that taking a break from sex can actually affect how easily you climax? It's true. You see, our brains are wired for pleasure, and when we engage in regular sexual activity, our brains become accustomed to those feel-good sensations. But when we stop having sex for a while, our brains need a little time to catch up and rewire those pleasure pathways. Think of it like riding a bike. You might be a little wobbly at first when you get back on after a long break, but with a little practice, you'll be cruising along in no time. The same goes for your orgasms. If you find that it takes you longer to reach that peak after a dry spell, don't panic. It's totally normal. The most important thing is to be patient with yourself and your body. Give yourself permission to explore and experiment with different types of touch and stimulation. And remember, communication is key. Talk to your partner about what feels good and what doesn't. The more you focus on pleasure and allow yourself to relax, the easier it will be to get back into the swing of things. Here's something else you might not expect. Taking a break from all sexual activity, including masturbation, can actually lead to temporary changes in your overall sexual response. Now, I'm not just talking about orgasms here. I'm talking about your entire experience of arousal, from the moment you start feeling frisky to the lingering pleasure after intimacy. Studies have shown that people who regularly use vibrators tend to have higher sexual function scores. This means they report feeling more easily aroused, having more intense orgasms, and experiencing greater overall sexual satisfaction. So, what happens when you take a break from all forms of stimulation? Well, you might notice that it takes a bit longer to get in the mood, or that your arousal isn't quite as intense as you're used to. Again, this is totally normal and nothing to be concerned about. It's simply your body's way of adjusting to the change in stimulation. The good news is that these changes are usually temporary. Once you start engaging in sexual activity again, whether it's with a partner or solo, your body will quickly bounce back. In the meantime, be kind to yourself and don't put too much pressure on yourself to perform. Focus on exploring your body, rediscovering what feels good, and enjoying the journey. Chapter 4. Premenstrual symptoms might get worse. Ladies, let's be real for a moment. Periods can be tough. And if you're someone who experiences premenstrual symptoms like cramps, bloating, or mood swings, you know how important it is to find ways to manage those discomforts. Well, here's something you might not know. Having orgasms can actually help alleviate some of those pesky period symptoms. That's because when you climax, your body releases a surge of endorphins, which are natural pain relievers and mood boosters. Orgasms also help relax the muscles in your uterus, which can reduce cramping. So, if you're used to masturbating to ease your period pains, skipping that self-care routine during a dry spell could make your symptoms feel more intense. Now, I'm not saying you need to be having sex or masturbating every day of the month to manage your period. But if you find that your PMS symptoms are particularly bothersome during a dry spell, it might be worth incorporating some self-love into your routine. And hey, if you're not in the mood for anything too intense, that's okay. Even gentle self-massage or a warm bath can work wonders in relaxing your muscles and easing discomfort. Okay, this next one might sound a bit strange, but it's true. Your vagina can actually shrink slightly if you're not having sex regularly. Now, before you panic, let me clarify, I'm not talking about a dramatic shrinkage here. It's more of a subtle change that happens gradually over time. Remember how we talked about your vagina being super elastic? Well, just like any other muscle in your body, your vaginal walls need regular exercise to maintain their strength and flexibility. When you're not having sex, those muscles don't get as much of a workout, and they can start to atrophy slightly. This can cause the vaginal canal to shorten and narrow a bit. For some women, this shrinkage might not be noticeable at all, but for others, it can lead to discomfort or pain during sex when they start having it again. The good news is that this is usually a temporary issue. With a little bit of time and some good old-fashioned foreplay, your vagina will quickly bounce back to its normal size and shape. The key is to be gentle with yourself and your body. Don't rush into anything, and make sure you're fully aroused and lubricated before attempting penetration. Let's talk about lubrication, shall we? We all know that things tend to get a bit wetter down there when we're aroused. But did you know that taking a break from sex can actually affect your natural lubrication? You see, when you're sexually stimulated, your body releases hormones that increase blood flow to the genital area. This increased blood flow stimulates the glands in your vagina to produce lubrication, which helps make sex more comfortable and enjoyable. However, when you're not having sex regularly, those lubrication-producing glands don't get as much of a workout. As a result, you might notice that your vagina feels a bit drier than usual, especially during sex. Now, before you run out and buy a lifetime supply of lube, let me reassure you that this is usually a temporary issue. Once you start having sex again, your body will quickly ramp up its lubrication production. In the meantime, there are a few things you can do to combat dryness. First and foremost, make sure you're engaging in plenty of foreplay. The longer you're aroused before penetration, the more time your body has to produce natural lubrication. Of course, a good quality lubricant is always a good idea, regardless of your relationship status. Lube can help reduce friction, prevent irritation, and make sex more pleasurable overall. Let's face it, talking about our vaginas can feel a little awkward sometimes. But it's important to remember that our vaginas are just another part of our bodies, and like any other part of our bodies, they need regular use to stay healthy and function properly. Think of it this way. If you were to break your leg and have to wear a cast for a few months, your leg muscles would inevitably weaken from lack of use, right? Well, the same principle applies to your vaginal muscles. When you're not having sex regularly, the muscles in your pelvic floor can weaken and lose some of their tone. This can make it feel like your vagina isn't working as well as it used to, especially when it comes to orgasms. You might find that it's harder to achieve orgasm, or that your orgasms aren't as intense as they used to be. But don't worry, this is usually a temporary setback. Just like you'd need to do physical therapy to regain strength in your leg after a cast, you can strengthen your pelvic floor muscles through regular Kegel exercises. Kegels involve contracting and releasing the muscles that control urine flow, and they can be done discreetly anytime, anywhere. The key is to be patient and consistent with your Kegels. Just like with any other type of exercise, it takes time and effort to see results. But trust me, your vagina and your sex life will thank you for it. So there you have it, the surprising truth about what happens to your vagina when you stop having sex. Remember, these changes are totally normal and usually temporary. Your body is incredibly resilient and adaptable. Taking a break from sex is a personal choice, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But knowing how your body might react can help you feel more empowered and less anxious about any changes you might experience. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more informative and empowering health and wellness content. And be sure to share this video with your friends. Let's break the stigma surrounding women's health. See you in the next one.